Travis, welcome to the Be the One podcast and to our fancy studio. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. And you're one of the few people that we are interviewing that we have actually interviewed your daughter. And, and possibly we're going to get Mitchie on here soon, too. So the whole family.
I know. Just get Martha and you'll round out the whole set.
I know. Well, tell us. So, Travis, you're our board chair.
Yes.
And so you have just assumed that role this summer. And we're so excited that you're taking the helm. And so before we get talking about all things school and board, tell us a little bit about who you are and your sweet family.
Sure. Well, I grew up here in Columbus. And my sister Lauren and I both attended Brookstone. We were both lifers. So Brookstone has literally been a part of my life since I was 5 years old in Mrs. Anderson's kindergarten class.
Yeah.
And Brookstone, of course, played such an important role in my life throughout my education here and prepared me so well to move on. Went to Emory University in Atlanta, spent 4 years there, and then graduated and immediately moved back to Columbus and started work at Synovus Securities as a financial advisor, and it's the only company I've ever worked for. So,
wow, that's awesome.
My wife is also from Columbus, Mitchie. We grew up at the same church. That's how we met each other and have known each other really since we were kids as well.
Yeah.
Mitchie's a Georgia Tech grad, so we were both in Atlanta at the same time. And she moved home, and we started our family here in Columbus. We have two daughters, Ruthie, who graduated from Brookstone a little over a year ago, and she's about to begin her sophomore year at Georgia Tech. A smart woman like her mama. And Martha is about to start her sophomore year here at Brookstone. So we're all excited for another year.
Oh, I know. And I just love those girls so much. I've just had the privilege of getting to spend time with both of them and Mitchie in a lot of ways. And I just love them all. And so I can already tell you've done an amazing job raising the girls. They're just precious, precious.
I love them too.
So, okay. So talk to us about, you've been on the board, as we were talking beforehand, for a long time, like since 2014. So almost a whole decade. That's a lot of time and a lot of work, but you're moving into the chairmanship, and we can't wait. So tell us a little bit about the Board of Trustees and what to expect this year.
Sure. Well, it's I'm excited to be stepping into this role first and foremost. It's one of anticipation and excitement, but a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of fear is not the right word, but it's just such an important and big job for this school. And so, like all my predecessors, you want to make sure that it's done the right way.
Right.
And I certainly have big shoes to fill. With coming in behind Billy, I've had the privilege and benefit of being able to shadow him for the past year as he finished his third year as the board chair. So I really did get a good look and idea and feel and understanding for what the job entails and the amount of commitment that it requires as well. But even before Billy, with Jason and Stephanie having been board chairs before Billy's term, certainly big shoes to fill, and excited about the opportunity to try to do that.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt. You will do extremely well. But we have been blessed to have such great leadership in the board for so many years, and that you've been able to work with them all along. I loved what you said when you came in to speak to the new faculty earlier this week about what the board does and does not do. Speak to that a little bit.
I did. I had the opportunity to speak with the group of new faculty, which was tremendous. There was such a large and energetic group that is coming to our campus. Henry asked me just to introduce myself as the board chair, but he also asked me to talk a little bit about what the board does. And I shared with them a story and really an inside joke that Martha and I have with each other. My sophomore here at Brookstone, she anytime something happens on the campus that she doesn't like or she thinks is a misstep, she jokes with me that the board is behind it. So if the panini machine disappears from the cafeteria, the board did that. Or if there's a rumor that cell phones are going to be banned on campus, the board did that. And so it's kind of become a running joke now that she'll blame things on me and my
that's so
peers
funny.
on the board. But I shared that story with the new faculty group to illustrate the point that that is not the main function of the
Right.
board. The board is not involved in the day-to-day operation of the school. The board is primarily a resource for Henry. And is involved more in casting vision and creating mission. But that's really the main, and I don't want to say sole focus, but you really could almost boil down the board's responsibility to the task of ensuring that the activities of the school are focused, very specifically on accomplishing our mission, which namely is to be a college preparatory school committed to academic excellence, and then instilling our core values in our students as well. And so that's an oversimplification for sure, because being a member of this board does require a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort. It's definitely a working board.
Yes.
But again, we've hired Henry and have hired past heads of school to run the school on a day-to-day basis, and the board is there to provide complete support in every way we can.
Right. Well, how excited are you to work with Henry? I know we're excited as a leadership team. So
Yeah, I'm very excited. I was able to be a part of the search process, so I got to know him through that process. And I've told a number of people that everything we learned and thought about Henry in that process has been confirmed in these first few weeks that we've gotten to work together.
that's awesome.
And it's going to be a very exciting transition. I was thinking the other day, Henry, here we are, second week of August. Henry's been on the job for, 5-6 weeks now, but it feels like he's been here for a few years already. He's I think his personality is such a fit for our school and our culture. He has a way of connecting with people, making people feel very comfortable. Making people feel at ease. And so again, he's just one of those personalities that when you get to know him, it doesn't take very long to feel like you have a connection with him. And I think that's a gift of his that translates very well to all of the different groups of people that he will come in contact with at the school, from working with faculty and administration to students and alumni and donors. I'm excited to see the way that he's going to connect to all of the people that love this school.
I agree. There are a lot of different constituents, but I think he's already handling all the different groups so well. And as we're wrapping up pre-planning this year, it's just there's a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and I think it's going to be a great year. I know it's going to be a great year.
I think one other thing I'd add that brings me excitement about what Henry will bring to the school and accomplish over the next number of years is he seems very focused on growth, which has been an important theme at Brookstone with the Blanchard Leadership Institute. But already I've seen a number of different instances where he is putting himself in a position to grow personally in his job and in his relationships. But also I have seen where he wants to see growth in all of the people around him as well. The faculty, administration, encourage them to think in new and different ways to advance their career. And again, I think that's part of what will make him an effective leader going forward as well. So I appreciate his focus on growth.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And he was able to participate. We had a sprint as part of the Blanchard Leadership Institute. Megan Blackman led a sprint this week that all the new faculty got to take a part of, And Henry joined in as well, and it was so fun to see him experience that, and all the new faculty, because it really is a culture of growth. And we even had one of the teachers say that she's never been in a school that has allowed and embraced that as much, that personal, professional growth of their faculty.
Yeah,
and so it was really
outstanding.
encouraging to hear. So I
Absolutely.
agree. Okay, so you said you are an alum and you are a Brookstone parent. That's a unique perspective to have, and I feel I share it, that you get to look, as we're looking at this wall and all the memorabilia behind us, but as you reflect on your time as a student and as a parent, what does Brookstone mean to you?
It's been interesting as you just alluded to have experienced Brookstone as a student and then experience it as a parent, and then even now as a volunteer
Right.
at the school. I mentioned earlier, but I felt Brookstone prepared me very well for college. I think when I was here, there was very much a focus on academic preparedness. Of course, you had opportunities in arts and athletics as
Right.
well.
Right.
But where I really am proud of Brookstone and have experienced and seen it in new ways as a parent is in growth in other areas like service and leadership. You
Right.
just alluded to the Blanchard Leadership Institute. And so to be able to see my girls not only be in an environment where they're going to be pushed to excel academically, but they are going to be encouraged and taught and educated to be a good citizen and what it means to serve others and what it means to be a servant leader. And I'm proud of the growth that I have seen at Brookstone since my time here to where we are now. And I'm excited about the future growth as well, because of course we don't want to be complacent. We want
Right.
to continue to evolve in how we teach our kids to move out and be leaders in wherever they end up in whatever
Absolutely.
community
Absolutely.
after college.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, about wanting to produce the leaders of tomorrow, and wherever they land, whatever sphere of influence they have, that they are equipped to be the leader, to be a leader in the situations they find themselves in. So,
I think another aspect of seeing the school through the eyes of a parent is, and I certainly had great relationships with teachers when I was here.
Me too.
It was funny in the new faculty orientation, we showed the video, the history of
history video.
Brookstone, and
Yes.
and Dr. Epperson alluded to that he was telling kids in the last few years, well, I taught your mom, I taught
Right.
your daddy, and I'm now one of those, which I guess makes me feel a little old, but that's okay. But really seeing the personal approach and the relationships that my girls had with their teachers that really have become mentors that they still want to communicate with. Have an opportunity, and now, of course, that Ruthie has graduated, to see how she still wants to connect with the middle school teacher that really pushed her to see the potential in herself. And folks like Dr. Epperson, who challenged her and taught her that, goals are important, but you have to work hard to accomplish those goals. And so I think, again, just we say this is a place where people matter and it's a personal approach, but I saw it more so in my girls and seeing how they interacted with their coaches and directors and teachers,
Right.
which is fantastic.
Right. I felt the same way, or feel the same way. When you see what the teachers are pouring into your kids, and how your children are embracing that, it's really special and it's really unique. And I'm just so grateful for all the teachers here and what they have done for my children through the years. It's really invaluable, and those relationships are just key. And it like you just said, it doesn't end when they graduate, which makes it all the more special.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about the board and casting vision. You've got 3 years in this role. So what is your vision? Not even necessarily for the 3 years, but what's your vision for this year alone?
Gosh, that's for the coming year. Really, it's about providing Henry with what he needs to make the transition comfortably, successfully, not just for him, but for his family and his children who'll be students here.
Yes.
I was laughing at Billy the other day. He told me how he was a little jealous that I get to sit in this chair now as Henry is beginning his tenure, because it's just an exciting new chapter in Brookstone. And so I think for the next year, the vision is certainly to help position Henry in a place so that he can execute on his vision and what he sees for the school, as head of school as well. But again, there are a number of initiatives that I think we will continue to try to execute and grow on. And I know a very important one to Henry is student wellness and safety as well. We had our first board meeting of the year earlier this week, and the board spent 30 minutes talking about campus security and campus safety. So physical well-being is an important part of that. And gosh, in this age that we live in, it's a little sad that we
Right.
had to spend that much time talking
Right.
about the physical security of our campus, but that's something that's very top of mind and something
Mm-hmm.
that we want to continue to make sure we're doing as good a job as we can to
Right.
for the physical
agree.
safety of our kids. But it goes beyond that as well. I think social and emotional wellness as well. And we've seen Jacob Crowder has brought a number of speakers on campus, which I think
Yeah,
is
he's done a
another
fantastic
benefit
job.
of being a part of the Brookstone community is parents have access to some of the nation's experts,
Right.
frankly, in
Right.
emotional wellness. So I think, in the interaction I've had with Henry, I think he's very much attuned to the concept that Brookstone needs to be a place that promotes wellness of our students so that they feel safe. And then they're in a proper mental state, emotional state to excel
Right.
in all the
Exactly.
different areas at Brookstone they can, whether it's
Yes.
sports or arts or academics. And so talking about longer term vision, I think we'll see additional investment in those areas to make Brookstone an even better place for our students.
Right, I agree. Because I think both of those things are top of mind for everybody. Teachers, parents, I think
Absolutely.
everybody, those are just things we're having to focus on now, need to focus on. And so I think we're doing a good job, and I appreciate the work y'all are doing
Yeah.
in those areas for sure. Okay, so now one of my favorite parts of the podcast, if you will, is to talk about some little fun facts, I call them. I always am seeking to learn from other people. So I would love to know any books or a book or more than one book that has meant something to you that has had an impact on you.
I think the most recent books that I have read, I'm a little bit of a student of the American Revolution. It's I don't know, just something that's always captivated me. We've even drug our girls on the college visit with Ruthie when she was in junior. We, drug them to Williamsburg and
Yes.
Yorktown and Monticello and all those other areas. We took a trip to Philadelphia this summer and went to Independence Hall and saw
love it.
where the Declaration of Independence and Constitution were signed. But so that's translated into reading
Yeah.
some books about that period. So I love David McCullough, especially,
yeah.
who visited Brookstone, by the
Yes.
way. 1776 is certainly one of my favorites of his. And then, of course, the popular biography of Alexander Hamilton from
Yes.
Ron Chernow. But I think what interests me about that period is in looking at our founding fathers and trying to answer the question for myself, did they have an idea or a concept of how impactful their actions would be on this nation? Did they get a sense of the gravity of what they were trying to accomplish? And I think in reading about it, I think they did. And what that means to me is that they had to bring an incredible amount of courage into that scenario to push through against opposition,
Right.
to do something they thought was right and that would be of the benefit to their neighbors. And so courage is one of our core values here. And so I thought of that and thought of our students, and I hope that will translate to them as well as they go out in this world and try to treat people right and treat people with kindness and serve others, that they will do so courageously, even if the outcome seems big or even bigger than they think that they could accomplish,
Right.
that they would push through with that courage. So,
That's awesome.
so I don't know, that will continue to
Those
be
are
an
good
area I will like to
recommendations.
read about. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I love it. I love American history too, and so, yeah. In fact, well, I won't. I read a book over the summer that was really good along those lines, and it was I can't remember the author's name, but America's First Daughter, and it was written from the perspective of Thomas Jefferson's daughter and based on her letters, and it was
Oh, wow.
fascinating. It was fascinating. So there's a lot to learn
Absolutely.
from history for sure. Okay, so now advice. Now this is hard to narrow down because I'm sure you have just been instilled with advice, just sound wisdom your whole life. But if you had to pick one or two pieces of advice that was the best you've ever been given, what would that
Yeah.
be?
I think, the best advice, certainly that I can think of, period, is just the golden rule, to treat people the way you want to be treated. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And frankly, if we lived by the golden rule, it would solve a lot of problems in our
so
society and in our relationships.
Yeah.
And certainly that, comes from my religious faith and background, and will certainly be and continue to be something I strive to do. And of course, it's not easy, but again, to think of others. But more personally, one of my mentors as I graduated from Brookstone gave me the advice of that, when you go to college, you're going to be tested, stretched, you're going to be exposed to new ideas, new concepts, and those are all good things. He said, but the advice he gave me was to know your core values, decide on your core values before you put yourself into that new world.
Yes, I love that.
So that when you are approached with new ideas, new thoughts, you're in a place where you can engage in conversation and understanding, but you have already written on your core what your values are, and that you can stick to those. And I think that makes you a better, more open person as well, because you're sound and secure in what your core beliefs are. And again, you can go out into this world, I think, in a more effective way. Right. And I think that translates to Brookstone as well. Again, we have our seven core values that are represented in our mission statement, and that's really our identity.
Right.
In this world where, these days, gosh, in just the firestorm that you see in the media all the time is, who are you? What do you stand for?
Right.
And the same could be asked of Brookstone. Who is Brookstone? What does it stand for?
Right.
And again, as a board, I think it's very important that we stick to and know and have a high degree of conviction in our core values. And again, just make sure that every effort that we take on this campus is about instilling loyalty, wisdom, courage, service, honor, respect, leadership in all of our students. And then again, we can be an institute that sends these young men and women out into the world, hopefully with a sure footing to make change.
Oh, I could not agree with you more on that. I think that is awesome. So, well, Travis, I am so grateful that you were here today and that you shared this with us. And like I said, between your leadership, the board's leadership, and Henry coming in, I think we have such exciting times ahead of us as a school. And like you said, knowing who we are and being able to equip our students to send them out is it's everything we hope for. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much
Sure,
for being
glad
here
to be here.
today.